Okay, with that, we are a few minutes past, so we'll get started. So thank you all for joining. Um, Hope you're having a great day so far. My name is Johnny. I'm Pozotron's Customer Outreach Manager, and we have Adam Fritz on the call as well, who is our CEO. You likely know him, but if you don't, there he is. So today we're going to be talking about the world's most interesting topic, which is PDFs. These tend to be the industry standard in terms of what kind of manuscript that narrators and publishers receive. So they work great, but there are a few um, common issues that really come into play when any software is trying to access these PDFs. And Pozotron is a software, so it comes into play there as well. The agenda for today, we're going to be talking about how to detect these PDF issues before you upload it to Pozotron or after. So we're going to be talking about how to detect these issues. It's frustrating to get started with a project in Positron and be presented with a bunch of errors or gibberish. If that's ever happened to you, then this webinar is for you. We'll show you how to fix those issues and detect them. And then the main issues, the ligature and OCR issues, double page spreads, cropping and redacting, these are remedies for the issues that I'm going to talk about in a second. But as we go through this, if you have any questions at all, please put them in the Q&A box. We're happy to answer any and all of them. Don't need to wait to the end of the webinar or anything like that. So with that, we'll start talking about detecting PDF issues. So first, on the left-hand side, you'll see kind of the main things that you can detect just with the naked eye when you get a PDF. Open it up, you probably open it up to read it, and as you go through it, if you notice, I'll go through these one by one, but fonts, so certain fonts can give software like Pozotron that uses optical character recognition. That's just the method we use to understand text that is in a PDF or an image or something like that. Certain fonts, if the text size is very small, that gives OCR programs issues. If the font is very fluid, like cursive, or if there's certain characters that are blended together, that can cause issues with OCR software as well. You can see actually, I'll get to that in a second, but the next thing would be images. So images in your PDF, these can have certain effects. Essentially, the main thing is that it increases processing time by a lot. So if there's a lot of images in your PDF and you try to upload it to Pozotron, it might take 5 times as long as a script without any images. And there's methods of resolving that. Other issues is images tend to have captions or descriptions of the image that might not be read out loud or might be read aloud in a different order than presented in the script. So that can cause false positives as well. So it's good to be aware of these images, and if possible, remove them before uploading to Pozotron. It'll make it a lot faster and easier for you. Um, Moving on to charts and graphs. So charts and graphs, depending on your project, if you're going to be narrating the words in the chart or the graph, there's different solutions, but they can cause issues. On the way they're formatted, if they're split into columns or something like that, there's different issues that can come across with charts and graphs. So just be aware of that. And if it's not going to be read out loud, we recommend removing it from the script before uploading it to Pozotron. So a couple of things to keep in mind. The next thing is the main or most common thing we find is ligatures. So if you don't know what a ligature is, over on the right-hand side where you see significantly highlighted in blue, where the F and the I meet, you can see that there's no white space surrounding the F or the I. They're kind of blended together. And this can be a font issue. Well, it mostly is a font issue. Certain fonts use ligatures. And on the right-hand side, you can see how an OCR software would read the word significantly. It turns the F and the I into a blank. It's unrecognizable to the software. So even though the human eye can read it, computers struggle with that. So ligatures, they cause OCR mistakes, and that's the next point on the list. OCR mistakes can. Oh,
I
go
do
ahead,
just
Adam.
want to, sorry, Johnny, I do just want to jump in on the ligature thing. So that used to be our most common support ticket by leaps and bounds. It wasn't even close. And we've done a bunch of development to gradually improve those. So ligatures actually happen because PDFs are an extremely flawed format. When they originally wanted to make a printed, essentially a printed document digital, um, instead of starting from scratch, they used a character. Essentially, they used a library of characters. It was originally designed for the inkjet printer. So square peg, round hole situation. So what I want to take away from this is if you find a project with these ligatures, it's often FF, FI, Ls, or S's or T's are the most common ones that it affects. Please let us know because we can fix that for the next time a similar problem is faced on a PDF upload. So please just shoot us an email to help@pozotron.com, and we're going to be able to solve that for the next time we have a similar matching issue.
Exactly. Thanks, Adam. You can tell how much he loves PDFs from that that explanation. Um, Great. And yeah, so that's the main thing with ligatures. They cause mistakes. Now, I have this as a separate bullet point because sometimes there's just issues with the OCR and there are no ligatures present, as you can see with practically and just turned into practically, which might be a fun word to say, but it's not very useful. Same with just, turned that into zust, even though it looks to the naked eye totally fine. So that's just the metadata, embedded in the PDF that Pozotron is using, and it's so we get the same result as any other OCR software there that has those mistakes in them. So we'll talk about how to fix that in the next slide. The other formatting issues that don't really have to do with font or anything like that is just the formatting of the pages in PDFs. So double page spreads, sometimes it's called a galley view or galley spread. There's an image of it in the bottom right. So you'll see that there's two pages, but in the PDF, it's actually one page. So each page contains 2 pages of text. Um, this is a bit of a funny issue. It works sometimes and it doesn't work other times. Again, it kind of has to do with the OCR. It doesn't detect the breaking of the text correctly sometimes. It reads left to right and then just continues going left to right into the other page. So it all gets out of order, and that won't work in Pozotron. Looks like we have a question. What if a chart that I do not describe in the audiobook is embedded in a page of text that is to be read? Maybe you'll get to this when you get to that section. It's a great question. So if it's embedded in the page, what we recommend, if it's not an image or something you can delete, recommend using a Redact tool. And Adam, if you saw you come off mute, do you have something to add?
Yeah, so basically exactly what you said, Johnny. If it's just like a pie chart with no words on it, it probably won't cause issues other than slowing down the processing if it's very image heavy. But yeah, if there's any words in there, basically anytime in a PDF, if there are words in your script that you're not going to say or you don't plan to say, Positron is going to flag that as a missed word because we take the
Mm-hmm.
words in the script in the order they're in the script and compare that against the audio. So if you're not going to read it, you have no plans to read it, and there are words in it, best to go redact it if possible.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a really good point. If there's no words and it's just bar graphs or something like that, that'll probably be fine. There was a book I was reading before, it was a running book, and it had a bunch of charts of like descriptions of miles and calories and all of that. That would be that'd be difficult for Positron because there's tons of words in it. So thanks, Adam. That's great. Similarly, with double page spreads, columns, so it might be on one page of the PDF, but it's split into 2 columns of text or 3, like a magazine. Again, sometimes it works fine, sometimes it doesn't, but it's just has to do with how the PDF has recognized the order of the text. So with issues like that, we have some tips on reformatting the page. And then the last thing is footnotes and captions. or anything, or headers, things that are not going to be narrated by you. Or these kind of depend on the project, because some footnotes are read in the middle of the page where there's an asterisk and you insert the line of text. Sometimes they're ignored entirely. So depending on what you're going to be narrating, you'll either want to crop it, just remove it if you're not going to be reading it, or if it's going to be inserted somewhere, there's another solution to actually change the positioning of it in the script. But those are just things to be aware of when you get your script and you're uploading it to Pozotron. Keep these points in mind. If you see any of those, it's best to reformat it before uploading it to Pozotron. Fred, question. Can Pozotron read mathematical equations, especially expressions of quotients?
So this is actually a very good, very good timing, because we've just released what's called normalization for some math formulas currently. So normalization means we do two types of normalization. So normalization means we read something in a script, and then instead of just doing the exact characters in the script, what would a human say? So if you see 1948, for the most part, with no spaces in between, Positron, a human would say 1948 and read that as a year. So we've just done that with math. So 3 + 2 = 6 would not be read as
3 =,
yeah,
2
exactly.
+,
Exactly. We've just released a relatively, like, a first version of it. So there's improvements. So if you do, I can't remember the name of who it was.
Oh, it was Fred.
That question.
Fred Lee.
Fred. So if you do have something come up with those specific items, and maybe they're not read properly, again, let us know, and we can improve. We're always looking to improve our normalization, because quite frankly, that's the secret sauce of what we do. We normalize from text to what a human would say. And then when we get the audio, we normalize what it hears to what we would expect to see in the text. And then we compare the two. Good question.
Yeah, great question, Fred. And yes, please send us examples so that we can keep iterating on the math normalization and making that better. Okay, great. So these are the main issues and how to, what to look out for. Now we'll get into solving some of these issues. And I'm going to be using Adobe Acrobat to edit the PDFs and fix them. Any PDF editor will work. It's just regular functions of them. Some of them might not have OCR, running OCR as an option. If the one you're using doesn't, let us know. We have some recommendations on a place you can go to get your documents recognized in software. Okay, so moving on, Ligature and OCR Remedy first. So I'm going to explain the steps here, and then I'll show you what it actually looks like in Adobe Acrobat. But the first step is to export each page in your PDF as an individual image. And what this does is it just takes a picture of each page in your PDF, and I'll show you how to do this. But what that is doing is removing any formatting, hidden metadata, anything like that that's in your PDF. It's removing that and turning it into just a plain picture. Then you recompile all of those individual images into a single document again, and you rerun OCR, or optical character recognition, to take a look at the words and hopefully get them right this time. And this works on 90, 99, 95, somewhere up there in the 90s percentage of PDFs. So we'll show you what that looks like. Let me open up Pozotron here, and I'll show you how to get started. So first thing I'm going to show you is what OCR issues actually look like in Pozotron. So I've uploaded a script, I've uploaded my audio files, and this is a very short script with short audio files. If you upload a longer one, Pozotron will actually give you an error message that something is going wrong. In this project, if I open up proofing and I scroll down a little bit, we'll see that there is a ton of issues in here. So there's gibberish, there's commas inserted, question marks where T's should be. things like that. So this is frustrating and annoying. Oh, and actually, before I show you the solution, in terms of detecting PDFs or detecting these issues, there's a couple of tips. So Pozotron will show you that when you upload your audio files, you'll see all these errors, but we'd like to catch that sooner. So what I'll show you here is if I open the PDF, there's a very simple trick that I recommend you do to every single PDF you get in the future before you upload it to Pozotron, because it'll make your life easier, is just go ahead and copy and paste a section of the text here. So I've just copied all of these words from the PDF, and I have a notepad open here. You can also do this in Microsoft Word or something like that. If I paste this, we can see that it comes through looking exactly like it looked in the proofing section of Pozotron. So this shows you if there's any hidden formatting, any hidden errors that are not visible to the human eye, but shows you what software will read. So it's a really quick test. Definitely recommend doing that to make sure that it comes through normally. If Pozotron will read it well, you'll be able to read it well when you paste it into Notepad. The other thing to see is there's a report in Pozotron. So if you upload your script before you upload any audio, you can also go to Import Export here, and there's a report called Book Full Text. Now, what this is Pozotron's understanding of your script. It's basically a copy paste of your script, but the entire thing, and what Pozotron actually read when it looked at your PDF. So if we open that up, it's a text-only document, and we can see if we come down and scroll a little bit, kind of scan in here, we see Mortimer looks all gibberishy. There's weird dots inserted. So this is another way to check the entire script. You don't need to read the whole thing in here, but you can see usually at a glance if there's any issues. So two very quick ways to just make sure it's all good before you upload the audio. And the reason I'm stressing that is as soon as you upload audio to a project, you can no longer change what script is in this project. You'll have to start all over with a new script. If you catch it beforehand, let's go to this one. So if I'm going to open up Book Full Text on this script, this is like a cursive kind of font. Pozotron understood nothing of this. So seeing that, there's a button here to upload a new manuscript. So I can actually change this before I upload audio and don't need to, it's a lot cleaner and less messy that way. So catching it beforehand is usually good. Okay, back to fixing this. So let me go back to this error script. So what I would do is I would open up this PDF in my PDF reader, and I'll download it. So I'm using the desktop version of Adobe Acrobat, so I'm actually going to open that up here. So the first step is I open it up in Adobe Acrobat, and like I said in this right here, the first step would be to export each page as an individual image. So if I come back in here, it's very easy to do that in Adobe Acrobat. There's a button here for Export a PDF. And when you click that, there's a few different options here. You're going to want to choose image format. The default format is JPEG. You can change this to PNG or something if you want. Doesn't matter as long as it's an image. And I'm going to click convert to JPEG. Now, what this will do is take each page in my PDF and make a separate image. So I'm going to pick a folder for that and hit save. Actually, before I do that, one other tip. Convert to JPEG. Sometimes if you've noticed that your font is really small in the script, OCR will work better if you enlarge the whole PDF. So if you go to settings here, then there's resolution. You can actually increase the resolution of your PDF. That'll make each page a lot bigger, make the letters bigger, and make it easier for software to recognize the text. So that is a very handy tip there. I'm just going to let it do it normally. Choose a download and hit save. Well, I already did that, so it's not going to let me do it. But essentially, what that looks like is there's a bunch of images here. So this is my script. It starts from page 1 all the way to page 37. So what you want to do here, you're going to go to create it from multiple files, add files, select all of the images we just made, hit open. So these are all the images, and then there's a combine button right here. Now, depending on the size of your script, this step usually doesn't take very long. It's just combining them, but so I'll actually run it because it should be pretty quick. But it's going to combine all of this into one PDF. You can see as it goes along. So if you have a 500-page script or something, it'll take, maybe a few minutes for it to combine them all. Great. So now this is a copy of my script, but you can see if I scroll down a little bit, all of the text is actually unclickable. So I can't click any of this text. I can't copy it or anything like that. So the next step, which I'm not going to do live because it takes a little bit longer, you're going to want to click the Scan and OCR button here and choose in this file. And this will go through every page, and Adobe Acrobat will recognize each letter, each word, and put that data into the PDF so other software and other programs can read it. I'll show you what that looks like afterwards. So this is what I've already done this. So I'm going to copy. So now I can copy all this text. And if I go back to Notepad, as long as I'm in the right document. So now when I copy and paste it, you can see it comes through looking beautiful. So Pozotron will read it just like this, and you won't have any issues. Now that was a lot of techie jargon. Hopefully it made sense. But I'll take a second here to see if there's any questions. And it looks like we have one. I noticed the script prep tools bar at the top section of the project you displayed. On a current project I'm completing, this bar is red and contains 3 X's. What does this indicate?
That
Go ahead.
is to show you whether you've accepted the pricing prompt and actually paid for script prep tools. Why there are 3 X's and not 1, I don't know. That's a development thing, but that's just designed when some people had said, look, maybe I or someone on my team accepted the script prep pricing and used it, but they weren't sure. Good question. And there's another one in the chat. Just a reminder, please use the Q&A box. But how does it, I'm assuming it meaning Pozotron, handle page numbers or section titles? Again, if that text is included in the script and you don't read it, so if you didn't read on this page version 2 and you just went straight into Pozotron Studio is an AI powered, it would show up as, oh, actually, wait, let me rephrase this. At the very beginning of an audio file, if you didn't read version 2, that would show up in gray text right above the in proofing. Johnny, maybe you can show that off. And that basically means what was found in the script there, exactly. What is found in the script immediately before the narration actually begins. However, if in this case, I read Rosalind's Ink by Jonice Abbott Pratt, Pozotron demo packet, Pozotron Studio, and I skipped version 2, that would show up as missed words, if that makes sense. Christy Burns, what is the best high res to export at in Adobe? I did a lot of find and replace with words in a book recently to fix stuff Pozotron didn't find.
I can answer that, I think. Perfect. So I believe after, well, we'll see if I understand, but I think you mean after you've run OCR, there was still some issues that you had to find and replace manually. So that is an option for anyone curious. If you use the, let me go back to all tools. If you use the Scan and OCR tool, there is an option to manually go through and fix each word that is a mistake. So the best high res, so here, like, for example, correct recognized text packet was registered as P ? Acket. So that can happen, and that's a great point, Christy. So after you've run OCR, if you're still getting some issues like that, there isn't an exact sweet spot with resolution, but when you're exporting the PDF as an image, so image format, and we're converting it to JPEG, and you go to settings. I've found that 300 seems to work pretty good. If there's still issues after that, I recommend just moving to the next one. Go to 600, go to 1200. The issue with this is it increases the file size of your PDF by a lot. So if you had, so the actual gigabytes or kilobytes that the file size of the PDF, that will increase as you increase the resolution, which in turn increases processing time in Pozotron or something like that. But I would recommend just kind of bumping it up. It depends on your original script, so I can't tell you the exact one to use. But if the text is really, really small, you might want to go to 600. I've never had to go higher than 600, so hopefully you don't either, and I hope that helps. Great, thanks for all the questions. If there's any more, don't be shy, but I will move on to the next part of this, which is how to handle certain formatting issues like double page spread. So this, the steps are, there's a little bit more to it, and it's a little bit more manual, unfortunately, but this will work 100% of the time. Yeah, so we'll go over that. So using the crop tool in Adobe Acrobat, I'll actually just open this up and show you instead of reading that. So here is a double page spread. This is not a script, but this is something I found that is public that I can show you. So this is only 6 pages, but we can see there's page 1 right here, page 2 right here, but it's in one single page in the PDF. So to fix this, it's a 5 or 6 step process. But you're going to want to use the crop tool. So going to edit in Adobe Acrobat, it's a symbol here. This is the crop tool. So if I click that, what this allows me to do is select an area of the script, and I'm going to start with the left side first. So I'm actually going to be splitting this into one page. So if I select that area, hit enter, and I'm going to want to do this on every page in my document. So make sure you change the page range to all. Luckily, every time this occurs, the left side will be an odd number. The right side will be an even number of pages. So 1 and 2, so even numbers on the right side. If I click OK here, this deletes the right side of the page. And now if I scroll, we see this is page 1, 3, and 5. So I'll have every odd number in this document. So, and I should probably say before you do this, save a copy. You don't want to accidentally delete half of the book. So make sure you do that. And so once you've done that, even if you do it to your original one, I'll show you how to go about it. So I'm going to click menu, and I'm going to save this as a separate document. So I'm going to click a folder for it, and I will say PDF odd numbers, or odd pages is probably better. Hit save. So now I've saved this. This is all the odd side. I'm going to click Control or press Control Z on my keyboard. This brings back the other side that I just cut off. And I'm going to do the same thing to the right side, selecting all of the even pages, hit enter. I'm going to do the same exact thing here. Click all, hit OK. Now when I scroll, I have 2, 4, and 6. So I've got all of the even sides. Again, save this as its own PDF. So I'm going to click here again, PDF even pages, and hit save. So that's the first step. So now when I open up that folder, you'll see I have PDF even pages, PDF odd pages. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete these other open pages. And I'm going to then open, so I have even pages open. I'm going to now open the odd pages. So now I have both, and this works a lot better if we split this into two different areas here. Let me see if I can make that pretty. Okay, good. So now I have two Adobe Acrobats open. I've got the odd pages on the right, even pages on the left. And this step is a bit manual, but I'm going to go to organize pages on both of these. This allows me to change the order of these pages. I recommend zooming in until you can see the actual page number. So Pozotron, not Pozotron, Adobe Acrobat has this as page 1, 2, and 3, page 1, 2, and 3. That's not very helpful. We want to zoom in to see the actual page number on both sides. So I can see this is page 1, this is page 2. And to put these together, so I've got 1 and 3, I'm going to grab page 2 and drop it right in between 1 and 3. So this is what I mean is kind of manual. If you have a very long PDF, this can take 20 minutes or so. I did it on a 583 page manuscript, and it took me about 20 minutes to go through it all. And it's but it worked great. So you'll scroll down, grab page. So I have 4 or 5, and I'm going to grab 6 and put that at the end. So now if I scroll up, I have page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now with this one done, luckily I only had a few pages, but I'm going to then save this as the full manuscript right here, PDF, all pages. So now I've got that saved, and that will definitely work in Pozotron and make the process a bit easier. Any questions on that? This also kind of works for columns. Columns on one page, you will crop it, and you can crop it the same way I did, except for you'll just have long, skinny pages instead of normal size pages. How come you don't do this automatically for us with software?
So,
That
good question.
is a great question.
We are continually working on it. All of this comes down to the problematic nature of PDFs. So many similar tools. So not similar, but tools that do something, somewhat. So Hindenburg, for example, the DAW, or Twisted Wave, some DAWs where you can actually import scripts. They refuse to accept PDFs because it has the file format has so many problems. So we are constantly trying to make it better. But PDFs are just very, very problematic. And I don't know a better way to say it. It really sucks that they're ubiquitous because it's such a flawed format. So we are constantly trying to make all of these things better. But a lot of them are quite difficult problems to solve. If we could do a better job than Adobe Acrobat and do it in a, Adobe is a international company with thousands and thousands of employees, I would imagine. Let's just say Pozotron would cost a lot more than it does. So we are working on it, and thank you. That's a very good question. We're not hiding from the fact that our PDF processing is not perfect, but quite frankly, if you try and upload a PDF if you try and export a PDF into Microsoft Word, it'll have the exact same issues as it does when it imports into Pozotron. Which just shows how difficult the problem is to solve. If Microsoft can't solve it perfectly, we're working on it, but that's the reason. Thank you for the question. It is a very good one.
Yep, and to be a little bit hopeful, we are working on automatic tools for this, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the webinar. So understand that no one wants to sit there and click and drag PDFs across, but that is a solution, and it definitely works. Just reading a message from Rich. I use Hindenburg. It is unfortunate that PDF is so problematic because the import of the manuscript is fantastic. Found some tools here that will help me move some of the scripts from PDF to Word more reliably so I can use them in Narrator. Awesome. Yes, it is unfortunate, and thank you for the understanding. But this will definitely work for double page, for things like that. You can then upload it to Pozotron. And this is also just to let you know, if you get a script with double page, at least you're warned that it might not work in Pozotron. We don't want you to upload a project and be frustrated or disappointed because of these formats. So that's the point of this webinar, is to show you the problem and show you a potential solution as well. Great. So the last thing to cover, there are more, there's a ton of different issues that can come up. So I'll actually take a moment to say, if you have a PDF issue, if you have charts, if you have footnotes, images, specific issues that we don't cover today, reach out to us and we have a lot of resources to help. But these are tools that can help you with a lot of those, the crop and redact tool. And looks like we got a question. Does
Can I answer
Pozotron?
this one?
Oh,
Does Pozotron
mhm.
recognize the page numbers in the text? Because I realized to a question we had earlier, I didn't touch on page numbers. Does Pozotron recognize the page numbers in the text as the actual page number of the text on the page, or does it base its detection on the placement of the page in the PDF? So
Mm,
placement of the page in the PDF. So if you have a bunch of blank pages that aren't numbered in your PDF files, and you want that to match exactly, where it says, the actual page number in all of our Positron reports, and you want that to match the exact page number as if it was a printed book and it has a little number on the bottom of the page, you do have to delete those empty pages that are unnumbered, essentially. So it does do it by the file number in the PDF page number in the actual file rather than the number on the bottom of the page. The other thing is, in terms of page numbers, most of the time when you upload a PDF with page numbers, we recognize that that is a repeating pattern of at the bottom or top of the page that should not be read. But if there's a formatting oddity where some pages only have like the even numbers or the odd numbers actually numbered, that can sometimes show up as like a missed word, in the middle because you didn't say the number one and you didn't say the number three. So I would say, I can't give an exact number, but most of the time it'll handle page numbers correctly. But if it doesn't, please send us an email again, because software development is an iterative process, and you're never perfect the first, second, third, or fifth time.
hmm
So we're just always trying to improve it.
Yep. And this is just to show you what Positron sees. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the page numbers that Positron recognizes. If I click on, if I zoom in, and this is actually page 1. Yeah, this is actually page 1. Positron will recognize that as page 5. Usually isn't a huge issue, but it is good to know how it's recognized. And Margaret, if I delete a page with a chart, should I add a blank page so that the page numbers match? That's up to you. That's I, I I think that's a preference on your part. If you need it to match, um, then yes, that would work. That would work to match it up.
Or alternatively, if you don't delete the entire page, you can just use the redact tool to black the whole thing out and it won't cause a problem.
Exactly, and we'll actually get into that tool now. So the crop and redact tools, they are really helpful for, this is for a couple of examples. If you need to remove captions or footnotes or something like that, you can see on the right-hand side what the redact tool does. And essentially, it will block the OCR software or whatever you're using from reading that. So the black box there doesn't cause any issues. It just prevents whatever software it is from reading what was there. So these are really easy to use, and I don't have a specific example to show you, but I will show you how they work so you can use these tools. Let me get out of this. So for example, if there's anything in this page that I do not want to read or I don't want included, the redact tool is a bit more flexible. So if there's something in the middle of the page or something that you need to remove, you'll want to use the redact tool. And all it is, you click on it. Let's say this paragraph here is not something that I'm going to be reading. All I have to do is highlight it, and it's immediately blacked out. So it kind of puts it into a pending state. So this will be redacted. And then if I have something else to redact, like this edit word, I'm going to highlight that, surround it in red, and it's got blacked out. I can click any of these sections here. And once you hit enter, or actually not enter, you have to come down here and click this apply button. So I'll hit apply. It'll tell you this will permanently remove the redacted information. Hit continue, and it'll have you save a copy. So I'll just put that there. So now this is permanent. I can't actually change that now. So it puts it into kind of a pending state, and then when you hit apply, it's forever gone, and Pozotron will ignore any of these sections. Now, I want to show you cropping as well, because these are especially useful for footnotes or headers or notes in the margins or anything like that. This can be a lot faster. So for example, yep, a footnote is usually in the same section of a PDF. It'll be kind of down here where postscript is. All of the footnotes, no matter when the text ends, are always usually at the bottom there. So it's really easy to get rid of those. If I want to edit that, I'll just edit the page, click crop page, and I can select the entire document to include all of the sections that I want there. But I'm going to end it just before the footnote begins. Hit enter, go to all pages, or you can select a particular page range, hit OK, and now that's gone. So any footnotes that were on any page throughout the entire project will be removed at that point. So these are kind of free use tools that you can use depending on the situation. With crop and redact, you can usually handle any situation that arises per project.
And one note on footnotes, to guarantee that they don't get, if you have something with a lot of footnotes, if it is a Microsoft Word document where the footnotes are properly formatted using the actual footnotes tool, we've built it. If you upload so if you have a script with a lot of footnotes in it that you're not going to read, our tool is designed for a Word document with the actual proper footnotes tool formatting them correctly. It will ignore those footnotes. So again, one of those very specific use cases where that properly formatted Word document will work much better than a PDF.
Yes, exactly. So essentially that feature puts in some metadata to tell Pozotron, yeah, this is not going to be read, and it works great. That's kind of everything for the crop and redact tool. If there's any particular issues you've run into, a PDF that gave you a super headache or something like that, we would love to hear about it. But hopefully this information has been helpful. So yep, any other questions, please put them in the chat. Oh, Fred. Any footnote superscript number in the text needs to be redacted. Yes. That's a good question. So let's say in the script here, after breakfast table, it had, the little number 1 or number 2, Adam, are those, I think those are automatically ignored, right? The little number, up in the top right of it.
Superscript, for example. Good question. I don't think it will be ignored if it's in a PDF. So if it says Adam thought for a second with a superscript 2 that goes down to the footnote, and you don't say Adam thought for a second 2 in a PDF that's not properly formatted like Word, it will not ignore it. In the properly formatted Word, it will.
So in Word, in Word it will be ignored. And I don't know for sure. I'll have to test this and get back to you. But converting a PDF to Word with footnotes and stuff, I wonder if it automatically applies that formatting. So if that's all throughout your script, that might be a solution, but we'll look into that further. Thanks, Fred. Okay. Again, any other questions, move them in. We're pretty much at the end here, and just wanted to talk for a second about our plans for the future. We are working on creating automations for these issues. Stay tuned. We're proud of what we're doing there. It should be, well, maybe Adam, if you want to kind of talk about the plans in terms of what we're developing and timelines and stuff.
Of course. So Johnny actually took it upon himself to solve some of these problems with writing his very own Python script, which when we hired him, he kind of buried the lead that he was able to do that kind of stuff, but we're very proud of him for that. So what we're doing is we've actually integrated that into our backend right now. And the way this is going to work is as we detect, likely we're going to be doing this in stages. As we detect some of these issues, you currently get, if you try and upload, for example, a PDF that's actually just detected as images of text. So it's not, if you click and drag it, you can't actually select any of the text. You currently get a warning saying something to the effect of, we can't detect any text content in this PDF. We will actually prompt you, say, click here to OCR it. So the idea is that we're going to make it user focused instead of having to send us an email. Or you go into Adobe Acrobat or send us an email. You're going to click a button. It's going to do that OCR process and then re-upload it. So the goal is we're going to be continually building these solutions where it'll be a combination of some of them we will implement into our actual PDF processing. Some of them we will say, we think this is the issue, because if we can't guarantee that that's the issue, we don't want to go screw around with your script. So we're going to be doing fixing those. Another good question, anonymous attendee with some real bangers today. Will that new feature raise our price or cost money? That is not in the plans. One thing to note as well, that is not in the plans that will be something that will raise the price for sure. Full disclosure, software companies, as costs increase, raise prices periodically. We don't have a price increase currently planned, and certainly not one just because we're releasing these features. But no, this specific feature will not raise your prices. And then the other thing is, if you do have a PDF that doesn't process correctly, send us an email. We will not charge you for it. We will give you credit. So when you fix it and you go re-upload all your audio, that you won't get charged. One thing I would say, it's always best practice to, as I think Johnny said earlier, do the quick copy and paste for one page. If it looks okay, upload just one audio file. And then if there's no major mistakes, then go upload the rest of the book. We still will give you, if there's a PDF issue and you've uploaded 7 hours of audio, we still will give you that refund, because you should not be charged for something that doesn't work properly. But much easier situation if it's one chapter rather than having to go refund you for 30 chapters or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Adam. I actually forgot to mention that. But yes, if you have any issues, we will help. Thanks, Adam, for the shout out. I didn't want to brag about my script, but I don't mind you bragging for me. But I help all of our customers with these issues. So if you have anything you're running into, you're not alone. Hopefully this webinar showed you some tips on how you can fix it. But if you need help, don't hesitate. We're always happy to help, and we want the tool to work for you. So that's pretty much it. I thank you all for your time. Thanks for joining. Hopefully it was useful and wasn't filled with too much boring tech stuff. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out. We will send a recording out to anyone that registered for the webinar, so you'll have this to refer to. That'll be live on our YouTube channel probably next week. So with that, that's it. Thank you so much. And thank you, Fred. I see you in the crowd. You actually kind of inspired this idea for a webinar. He had a lot of questions about PDFs and made us realize we should probably have some content out there. So thanks, Fred. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, everyone. And as always, thank you for using Pozotron. And please do not hesitate to let us know if something doesn't work or if you need help. Just use that little get help button at the top. So, Johnny, hopefully that look was for something your dogs are doing and not for the hurricane that's barreling your way. But thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your days.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming.